therapy.
It is much cheaper than therapy. Are you taking potions in my house? I can see that you are.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Would you like some, sir?
No, I will be straight, thank you. I have a distinct relationship with Mr. Potter. The problem of Snare is that not only is it an age gap, but it's a mentorship and a professor-student. It starts when kids are way too young, and that makes it inappropriate. And that's my issue with that. Not to mention, Snape is actually straight. I assume Harry is straight.
Bisexuals do exist.
They do, but there's never any talk of Harry exploring his curiosity stage off at the college after Hogwarts, which I think is when it happens. When people become, spaghetti lesbians. Does anybody know what that term means?
It's like a spaghetti western.
No, they're straight until you get them back.
Hot too. That's great. But yeah, did you ever wish that you were one of the Marauders? And if you would have been, what would your nickname have been?
I didn't wish that I was one of the Marauders. I never thought about what my nickname would be had I been one, though. It's an interesting question. I would have to say bats. Based on an answer that I gave to another question, another event. Somebody had once asked me, did I have a Patronus that was different prior to that event? And I responded, yes, I did. Prior to that event, my Patronus was that.
A thought had occurred to me that perhaps it would have been Prince, given your mother's surname.
Yeah, but everybody else was animals.
Mooney?
Because of the whole...
And not because of...
What he does in his private time is not my business. I hadn't thought about it, but now that you've asked, that would be my answer. That's a fine answer. You with the...
Yeah. So you've explained why you are, or at least perceived to be, such a strict and unpleasant teacher, but do you feel that you're at all different or more relaxed when just amongst Slytherin house?
No.
No?
Uptight when you're in Slytherin.
This is the thing, you can say that I'm uptight, and that's a fair assessment, you can say that, but let's look at the bigger picture. I spent the entirety of my teaching years waiting for Mr. Potter to arrive, which was going to be heart-wrenching, so that I could do the one thing that I had to do in life, which was to save the boy, who looks like his dad, has his mother's eyes. Yay. Now, on top of that, I have to hide all of my feelings from him, treat him in such a way that every time the Dark Lord sees into anybody, specifically him, or through any network of spies, that I am never perceived as anything other than what he believes me to be. Additionally, I have to grade papers, teach classes, walk the halls at all hours of the day and night wearing but one outfit, and uncomfortable footwear. So it's not that I'm uptight, I might be slightly preoccupied. Every other teacher gets the ability to have a formal outfit for the ball, have a nice room, hang out, do what they want to, pop over for some ale. I'm walking up and down hallways. Yes.
That's what I don't get. The entire setting is in the modern day with every modern convenience, but why, as soon as you walk into Hogwarts, is it like a D&D convention?
This is some sort of Dungeons and or Dragons.
That sort of thing. Why is it like a step back 200, 300, 400 years into the past cobblestone and wizard cloaks?
Well, one, cloaks are quite fashionable and very stylish, and I think that there's a good number of people who will tell you that robes are quite comfortable. Sweaters and school outfits and at conventions that take place in Florida in July are less so. But the world of magic and the world of wizardry and that sort of beyond the Muggle universe that most people are used to is so amazing that we don't need to wrap ourselves up in American Idol and tweeting and twerking and whatever Yowie Chen is. So, you know, there's a lot to be said for people who talk to each other in the middle of class. Are we quite finished? There's a lot to be said for some people who, you know, to have that sort of direct interaction as opposed to, does anybody have a cell phone?
Throw it.
No, don't throw it. I'm not going to throw it. I'm not going to throw it. But so often I see people, and they aren't talking to each other. They're just physically near each other. They could have done this at home. You know, it's a very distracting. This is a funky color.
Meta. Squirrels.
And beaten up. There you go. Thank you. But, you know, it's for all the technological advances that man goes through, we fall further and further behind. There was a cartoon drawing some years ago, and it was two panels, and I'm just going to sort of allude here. The first panel was a car that pulled up to the gas station. There was a fellow wiping the window, and a fellow checking the oil, and a fellow pumping gas, and whatnot. So he's checking the tail. It was like 4 guys around this car just doing it. And then in the bottom frame, there was a guy pumping his own gas, and then behind bulletproof glass over here in a tiny little shack was like, you know, the 17-year-old kid reading his book. And underneath it said, progress. You know, you can say that going back in X number of hundreds of years is a bad thing, but in all honesty, show of hands, who would actually like to live at Hogwarts, like tonight? Show of hands, who would give up their computer if they could make that happen? That's okay. It's okay. And just while I'm taking polls, and I got 5 minutes here left, just a really quick poll for my own personal, you know, enjoyment. Really, this doesn't make me laugh, but it makes me happy. It makes me make that smiling face I did earlier. Show of hands. Who thinks that the absolute most evil person in the entire story of Harry Potter is actually Umbridge? And who thinks it's Voldemort? The girl in the hat. That's it, one person. Thank you.
Truthfully, I believe Umbridge is truly twistedly bad because she believes that everything she is doing is absolutely good.
That's what
As
everybody
opposed,
knows.
she's
It's not that she
Voldemort isn't the same way.
It's not that what she believes-
Voldemort has his own personal directive, but he just wants to be powerful, and at the expense of everyone else. Dolores specifically wants to hurt everyone else, and if power comes because of it, well, then that's fine. She's much more malicious than Voldemort. She's a true sadist. Voldemort's just power hungry. Umbridge is a sadist. Evil, no good, low down, dirty sadist. All right, so we have like 3 minutes left before I start singing. Oh, is that? No, you're not. It's not that she's not leaving, she's just clearly.
I'm Raven right now.
Yes, you are.
Oh, yeah, you guessed right.
So, do we have any big final questions? Is there anything you really just I wish I knew? Yes.
You were saying earlier that you wear the same thing
Truthfully, this black is very soft. Buttons are very nice. Well, it's in the movie, it's in the books, that's why it's here. Otherwise, it wouldn't be real, would it? Yes,
So we know how important you are in Latvia.
I am. I introduced them to, or I gave Latvia religion based on fruit cocktails several years ago.
So where are you traveling next?
Where am I traveling next? Well, if you're around at 11 a.m. tomorrow, there is a Munchausen panel, my last one ever.
Aww.
And I am retiring from the world of Munchausen as of tomorrow. So, but I will gladly discuss whatever they tell me to tomorrow at the Munchausen panel. I do love Latvia though. I don't know, maybe Bruges, I don't know.
If you did manage to survive the war, what
I
did
did.
you do with yourself afterwards? Of course you did. So what did you secretly do with yourself afterwards? What were your dreams for, after the war? For
My
being
dreams
yourself and
were
not
for-
having,
Dreams were destroyed several years ago, if I was bringing that up. Would you like to know how I survived?
Yes, please.
Because, I mean, you all don't seem too terribly surprised to see me here. I mean, I was going to show you. I assume that could account for most of that. But I will quickly explain. I'll make this as quick as I can. All right, we're just going to draw. I'm not really good at drawing things, so. There's some towers, and there's some other towers, and then some stuff and things. Hagrid has a hut somewhere. I don't really care about that. So, and then there's let's see, there's, that looks a lot worse than I thought. All right, clearly I don't teach art. I teach defense against the dark art, but not actually art.
Just say it with your mouth words.
All right, so we have and you've got Dumbledore.
Wait, is that Matt Smith?
That's Beacon. Beacon and Jax.
Time Lord.
Is it a jackal?
It looks like Santa Claus. Really.
So Dumbledore was standing behind you.
All right. So here's the thing. All right. We all know that Dumbledore had to die, but he looks eerily like an evil Santa Claus here. We all know that Dumbledore had to die. We all know what's going to happen in the Astronomy Tower. We all know that young Draco had to be the one to kill him. There were several conversations leading up to this. Dumbledore and I had several conversations. I even said, what makes you think I still do this? Now, having planned everything in advance, when Draco showed up, and the other Death Eaters showed up, and then I came and did the thing, and I said, which I think is really one of the, actually what Dumbledore said to me, I think is one of the most powerful lines in the entire story, when he says, "Severus, please." I think that's far more intense than my oath is. But, so, I killed Dumbledore. Now, anytime you kill somebody, what happens to your soul? Yes, and if you are, let's just say, learned in the dark arts, what can you do with this?
Horcrux.
So, having prepared ahead of time, made a horcrux out of a portrait we had hidden in the Astronomy Tower, which hangs in the school to this day, which is why there's a living portrait of me in the school. Additionally, having gone down and talked to Voldemort, knowing that he would doubt the wand's ownership, knowing he has this propensity for killing people, went in very well prepared. Nagini has attacked other people before and they've lived, right? We're all well versed on this. So, the magical three come in, they shed the tear, they run off. I'm still here. Guys, a little help. Clever girl. So, having been learned in potions and whatnot, now the very first speech, the one that you wanted me to give, from the first book and the first movie, what are the three things I say that I can do? Teach you to?
Well, that's the last
If you jump ahead, it's less dramatic.
Stopper in death.
Yes, and even put a stopper in death. One, a writer wouldn't write that in the first book and not have it come into play. And two, being who I am, I wouldn't say that and not be able to do it. So, there we go, I couldn't find the person. So, yes, that's why there's a living portrait of me in Hogwarts, that's why I'm still alive. And what do I do with my time? I read a lot.
As long as it's not Twilight, that's good.
Because fuck Twilight. How it should have ended. They put up everything wrong with by CinemaSins. They point out all the problems in movies. It's a great site. I'll get to you in 1 second. It's a great site, and they put up a video about themselves, making fun of themselves, pointing out all the things that they do wrong, and they point out that they've read every book for every movie based on a book, including Battleship. They read the instruction manual. Except for Twilight, because, you know. Yes.
What's the most recent book you've read?
I'm actually in the middle of reading something. You're gonna laugh when I tell you. I'm actually in the middle. Well, I read a lot of H.P. Lovecraft. But the serious answer, the actually honest answer is, I'm in the middle of reading a book called Talking to Girls About Duran Duran. It's a fantastic book for anybody who is, for the men in the room, if you've grown up surrounded by women, if you grew up liking bands that were predominantly liked by girls, for example, Duran Duran, it's written by a guy who actually writes for the Rolling Stone. So it's actually a very good book, but that's what I'm in the middle of reading currently. It's probably not what you thought. So I believe we have gone 5 minutes over, and I have to do a podcast with Mr. Greenwolf. So.
Really?
Yes. If there's two things I'll wrap up and I'll tell you. One, apparently Daniel Greenwolf has a podcast, so he promotes gingers. So something he has in common with Miss Rowling and not me. But although, is anybody here familiar with Tim Minchin?
Yes. Yeah.
Does anybody know the song Prejudice?
Yes.
It is my goal in about another year or so to actually play that as on the piano. Because I think singing dressed the way I am about the validity of gingers is really, really funny. Additionally, there are a few things. I will be at the Jeopardy celebrity panel tomorrow, giving great answers as I am very intelligent and learned. And I will also be at the match game on Sunday.
No wand dueling?
No, I will not be at the wand. I did that once. I knocked him on his butt. And then there's a really good band playing tomorrow night. Platform.
It's amazing. I love Allison.
I hear that. I hear their drummer is quite good. And there's the guy with the jaw who stands behind the keyboard.
Oh yes.
Well, he's got a jaw.
Yes.
And
Dan is hot.
there's another guy.
Yeah, but fuck
There's
him.
somebody that sings.
There's somebody that sings. I can't recall his name at all, but he looks absolutely nothing like Hans Gruber. And a little bit like Dr. Lazarus, but or Colonel Brandon.
He actually looks quite a bit like the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Yeah, but he-
Yes.
But he shaves.
Yeah.
Rasputin.
Rasputin, really? Yes, okay. All right. So there's that, and that's tomorrow at 10, and Sunday at 4.
Where at 10 though?
And the
The
big
main
stage,
stage.
the big room, where Ego Likeness is playing right now. But obviously you don't.
But
hear
we're
it
here.
Here. So, I'm thinking about putting an album. I have a Facebook page under Vladimir's name, and I'm thinking about putting an album up of just me and the Doctor.
Yeah.
Who would want to see that?
Which Doctor?
The picture
You
that
haven't
will
seen the
never
photo?
go away.
The photo?
The photo.
No, I haven't. I'll show it to
Really?
you.
I've been on a
Show of hands, just real quick, and I don't think there's anything else happening in the room, is there? Just show of hands, has anybody seen me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, looking kind of cozy with the Doctor? Like, show of hands real quick, who was offended by this photo?
That's Yowie, by the way.
Who really, really liked this photo in ways I don't want to know about? Alright.
See my fanfic.
Almost made me smile. Don't do that.
One day, Nigel, one day.
One day.
Do you want to see the picture?
No, I've seen the picture. I was there. I wore the t-shirt and ate the burger.
Very unique photo.
If we had the projector running, we could put it up here. But,
Anyone else need it?
so, all right, well,
Not my thing.
this is just such fail.
And had this been a regular photograph, we would not have these issues.
Oh my God.
I feel like I'm watching the internet work in like a live action. This is how she clicked like and then shared it. Did you see that? Ooh, like, look at this. Ooh, I want to share that. See what happens when you stay past the bedtime.
Oh, did you bring
You knew I figured it.
Oh, yes, I did.
I don't think I've done.
All right, if we could have a small smattering of applause for Peggy, who managed to stay up past 10 p.m. I first met you as Snape, did I not?
No.
Are you sure? I thought it was Snape at the time.
I don't think so.
Okay, you were.
I haven't been.
You were.
I was, handing out the cards,
Yes.
promoting that band, Platform One. And,
Oh, now you remember the name.
well, yeah, I know the band name, it's that guy. I'm going to tell the story real quickly.
You know what,
because I love-
tomorrow we'll ask him his name.
Oh, you should. I'm going to tell this story real quick because I love this story. So Peggy and her husband Dave, who works with dead things, they were. That's true. They were. She's. So they went to, was it 3 or 4 years ago? 3 or 4?
It was 3 years later.
3 years ago, went to their first Wicked Fair, right? And they came in line, and I was working in line, and they handed out these little sort of cards that say my band, and they have my logo on them, and and I'm working in line, and they came through, and I said hello, and I gave them the card, and we talked for a few minutes, and it was very nice, and I thought they were wonderful people, and they thought it was very nice and charming, and I walked away, and then they looked at the back of the card, and they went, it's a band. We didn't come to Wicked Fair to see a band. And so, mind you, they didn't tell me this story until like a year or two later. But, so they go and they went and saw my band, probably begrudgingly. And then I don't know how long it took to enjoy us, but by the end of the show and everything, they came to my merch table and they bought one of everything. And every year they come and they buy whatever new thing I have. And in fact, we had to perform magic to actually get the right size hoodie for David today. I won't tell you how I made that happen, but I somehow magically made that happen.
You have hoodies.
He was very thankful.
We do have
Clearly
hoodies.
you have a spell for that.
Well, we couldn't just Accio the hoodie, you know, or Asio, depending on what your pronunciation is. Rowling seems to prefer the S one. Seems a little
Not that.
sketchy. So, I wouldn't want to say that. Creeps me out. All right, well, as is my nature, now that you've stayed for a few minutes after and you started abusing your loved ones, class dismissed. I'm talking about a microphone in somebody's bedroom.